give another minute, uh, and then we'll start. And nobody shows up, it will be recorded. All right. Uh, we'll invite people as they come in, as I'm sure people are probably late. But it is 8:01, so we're going to get started here. Uh, this month we're joined by Carrie Ann, and she has a presentation on our recruiting challenge. Take it away, Carrie.
Thank you, Ben. So my name is Carrie Ann. I am the head of volunteer programs for the National Party. And when we think about how exciting 2026 is going to be with midterm elections, we have had over 100 applications for endorsement already at the beginning of this year. And we really want to be able to support these great candidates that we get on the ballot in November. And how do we do that? We have to grow the movement. And how do we grow this movement? Grassroots efforts. So I just have a really quick presentation with some points and some tips and best practices for talking about forward with your friends and family. Uh-oh. Okay. So what you can expect, best practices for outreach, key forward values you can talk about, your personal forward story and how to put that together, how to handle common questions, and I have a sample message that you can use. So when we think about why are we even going to talk about politics with people these days, it is because we have the solution to the problem, right? We are neutral. I like to think of myself as Switzerland when I talk to people because we're not talking about policy, we're talking about democracy. Forward doesn't have a prescriptive policy platform. Instead, we focus on democracy reform and empowering our leaders to make the best policy decisions that support their communities and their constituents. So when you want to talk about forward with people, you want to lead with listening. Ask them what they're frustrated with in politics because you can then use that to show how forward has the solution. You want to keep it light and you want to seem curious. You don't want to debate. You don't want to ask them their stance on abortion and or gun control because we're not going to be talking about those topics. Um, and if it gets a little contentious, just leave it be. And then you want to include your link because we are running a challenge and you can earn points by referring people. And so when you use your recruiting link, which I'll show you how to use in a minute, then you can earn points and those points can be redeemed for merch in our shop. So we are making it fun to talk to your friends and family about forward. Some of our values that are respected by people across party lines is individual freedoms, rejecting hate, removing barriers so people can reach their full potential, having thriving communities with strong local economies and safe neighborhoods, and a vibrant democracy with more choices on the ballot, fair election rules, and leaders who respect democratic norms. That's nice, isn't it? I think everybody likes those things. So when you're talking about forward with someone, you can say, I got involved with forward because I was tired of voting for the lesser of two evils, or I got involved because I was tired of there never being a challenger to my 80-year-old congressional rep. Whatever drew you in. And then you can say what you like about forward is, hey, we're starting from the grassroots up. We are focused on local elections instead of trying to run a president like no labels and then not getting anywhere with that. Um, so whatever, when you were talking to the person and you were hearing what they were frustrated with, you can plug that in here. So you can talk about what they're frustrated with, and you can say that's our solution. We present options on the ballot. We strategically look for districts where we can run candidates where we're not a spoiler. A lot of people are worried about the spoiler effect. We'll talk about that in a minute, but there's a lot of things that you can say that you like about Forward, but you want to listen to the person and what bothered them and kind of tie that into the conversation. And then you can say, I'm asking you to sign up today so we can show that there's support for a third party in America, so that we can have more voters in the election to support Forwardists on the ballot. So we can get ballot access. States like North Carolina and New Mexico are working on signature gathering. So they might say, I need your signature. But if you use this, you can kind of tailor it a little bit to either your personal experience or what you heard the person say when you were asking them previously what they were frustrated with. And then some common questions. We have people from all different backgrounds. So we do affiliate with our elected officials. So they can be either a Democrat or Republican. They sign our pledge and then they're called a Forward affiliate. We do also have Forwardists in office. We have 5. 3 of those are in Pennsylvania, thanks to the great team here. And they are judge of elections and then one inspector of elections. We also have a sitting state senator in Utah, and we have a mayor in South Carolina, who were all elected as Forwardists on the ballot. So, people can come from any background. As long as they agree to good governance and bipartisanship, then they can be a Forward Party member. Our platform is values-based and not policy-based. So we create room for discussion on policies, and we wouldn't make somebody in California adhere to the same policy that somebody in South Carolina would be working for. Like, those communities are very different. They need very different policies, and we won't penalize or alienate an elected official for doing something different that works for their community. And then back to that spoiler question, some districts and even states like Utah and Massachusetts have become one-party states. So there is no option on the ballot. 70% of our seats go uncontested every year. So Forward is creating an option, creating a choice, not spoiling. We specifically stay away from purple districts that are very close and neck, because we don't want to take away from whoever would do the best job for that community. We specifically want to be an option where there usually isn't one. And then here is a sample message you can use. And I do have a link that I'll drop in the chat as soon as I'm done with this. It has a 10-minute training video that's kind of the same thing, but a little bit more in depth. You can copy paste the sample message. And there are the tips for our challenge, which I'll go over in a second as well. But if you don't want to talk to somebody in person, but you're like, hey, I can send a DM on Twitter or Blue Sky or, Instagram or whatever, you can send a text. This is a really simple way to send that message. Now I need to share my screen again, and I don't know how to do that on Zoom so good. So I'll just tell you guys, when you go to forwardparty.com and you click on join us, and then it has volunteer, and that's how you get to your volunteer dashboard. And so you go to forwardparty.com, click on join us, click on volunteer, and then it'll prompt you to sign in. And underneath your little avatar picture is a link, and that is your unique Forward recruitment link. And so our Nation Builder website recognizes that link when you share it and other people sign up, and you get credit. You'll get 25 points for every person that you recruit. Our points are good for merch in our gift shop, and the 10 points equals $1. So like a $20 shirt would be 8 recruits. We also have a live leaderboard, so you can see like your place and how you're doing with recruiting people. And we are going to have a Zoom call with Andrew Yang for our top 10 recruiters after the challenge period is over. So right now, we need you to go out, talk to your friends and family, share that recruitment link from your forwardparty.com volunteer dashboard, earn your points, and then at the end of the challenge, we will distribute gift cards for our merch shop, and you can go get yourself some Forward gear. But I will drop that link in the chat so you guys have access to all of those resources I just went over. And thank you so much for being part of this movement and for showing up for this call tonight. And I see that we have a mayor on that I'm excited to hear from. So I'm going to give it back to Ben so you guys can go to the rest of your meeting. Thanks, Ben.
Welcome. And with that being said, we are joined by Christine tonight, and I'll turn it over to her for a second. We're happy to announce that we have affiliated with her. And tell us about yourself and your office.
Good evening, guys. My name is Christine Kelsler Womack. I am the new mayor of Dallastown, Pennsylvania. It's in York County, for those that don't know where Dallastown is. And I ran as an independent. However, I've been working with the Forward Party since, what was it, Ben? When did we do Gettysburg? The first one,
I think
23?
23?
I
Yeah,
think it's
23.
23. So I came with Gus and just left a third party that we had created after leaving the Libertarian Party. And I saw what the Forward Party was doing and I was interested. So I came to the first convention and I got to know a lot of the people, Christian and Rachel and everybody and Ben. And I really liked what was happening. And I have a little bit of PTSD from jumping from party to party, so I kind of just sat to the side and watched everything that's happening. Oh yeah, my hoodie, my mother-in-law got me this for Christmas. Um, and uh, and so I've been helping actually helped Forward with organizing their convention in Gettysburg the following year in 24 and helped in different ways. I was the state manager for Jo Jorgensen when she ran for president for the Libertarian Party. So I have a little bit of experience with petitioning. But when I decided to run for mayor, it was after helping my friend run for mayor in the neighboring borough. And I went back and forth on what to do. And, I think when running for office, you need to really know your demographic. And I come from a very red conservative district where the mayor had been mayor for 14 years and I was running against him. And so I wanted to be Forward affiliated because I stand with you guys with everything that you're trying to do with Common Sense Solutions and working together across the aisle and just all of that. I'm not entirely sure what I'm all talking about tonight, but I'm going to kind of spiel some stuff. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But I did go also to the Capitol when Andrew Yang was here for the Fortis affiliated when we had that announcement up there. And so what I've been doing since being mayor is trying to work across the aisle and come up with community-driven, common sense solutions to stay with that, pledge that I did with Forward and just for my life in general. I'm also working with another candidate who's running as an independent who is seeking Forward's affiliation or endorsement or what have you. And I'm out and I'm talking to other candidates that are running as Republicans and Democrats and are trying to figure out how to talk to independents, how to talk to third party people. And because, we have such a rise in this country, I think the last statistic I saw was like 45% of the country identifies as like an independent third party, basically non-major party. And so when I'm talking to these people who are running as Democrats or centrist Republicans and stuff like that, I'm talking to them about what Forward is doing and what they stand for and encouraging them to check them out and letting them know that, one of the great things I see with Forward that we didn't do with the Libertarian Party or with Keystone when we created that is the affiliation. There's such a scare. I mean, Carrie talked about it, this whole spoiler effect. There's such a scare about feeling like you'll be a spoiler or you got it. You can't be one of the non-major parties. But allowing people to feel like they can be a part of progress and moving forward in this country while also still holding on to what feels like a safety blanket. I think allows people to kind of ease into this new mentality that we're seeing go across the nation. And I think that that's going to help Forward to really kind of catapult into being the next option for people when it comes to outside of the major parties. So I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad to be working with all of you guys in different capacities. I'm happy to answer any questions, or if no one has any, you guys can move on with the meeting. But I thank you, Ben, for inviting me to be here tonight and for you guys endorsing, accepting the affiliation with me.
So turn it over for questions to Christine. Brian.
Yeah, Christine, thank you so much. I'm very excited to have you tonight. If we assume, I also think that there's a huge number of people deciding to run as independents for office, and you know, we want to be that home for people to reach out to be part of a, you know, to get some support from us and be a real party backing these kinds of folks. So what would you say was the biggest barrier for you? Like, you already had a lot of knowledge, you'd been involved, but if you had just been a normal person off the street thinking, hey, I'm going to run for mayor as without a major party, what kind of things could we have done to support you better? What will these people be looking for that they could help them make it happen?
So I'm going to talk from the perspective of my friend Allie, who ran for Red Lions mayor next door, because she has no political experience. So I think that that's kind of who you're talking about in this scenario. And a lot of it, it comes down to the filings, your financial disclosures, and all of those like documents that have to be filed, and understanding what they mean. Because the elections offices get bombarded with all various things, and the last thing they really want to deal with is the paperwork for a candidate. Because if you're going to run for office, you should know what the paperwork is. A lot of like the way that they think. So understanding the paperwork for the different areas, a lot of them are the same. They're just York County versus Dauphin. And then understanding petitioning. And I think, and I'd be happy to work with you guys. I'm working on it with my congressional candidate, and doing like a petitioning video on how to do it, like how to approach people, when the best timeframes are, and understanding, you know, what a challenge is and what to expect of a challenge. So like, you know, we're dealing with this with my congressional candidate, just to go a little bit bigger. She's needing like 8,000 signatures. And so understanding how many signatures you're going to need and the price tag that could potentially be associated with that. I think understanding what the full commitment is prior to the office, or at least knowing where to send them to find that information is key. So having that kind of resource, like a page on the website, and you guys might have it. I haven't been to the forward site in a while, but a page on the website that says, you know, all of the election office links, you know, York County's election office, Dauphin County's election office, so that they know where they can go to find those information. That was a big hurdle for Allie, and understanding timeframes and what those paperworks mean. Does that answer your question, Brian?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you.
Perfect.
Tyler.
Hey, Christine. First of all, congrats. It's exciting to see someone do this successfully. I was just curious, like, if you've gotten, like, what kind of reaction you've gotten from people, just like, you know, just like ordinary people. Yeah, maybe if they've given you any, like, idea of if there was, like, one single issue or thing that kind of made them want to vote for you.
Yeah, so first off, I think this is a fun fact. I won by 19 votes. Um, it came down to 19 votes. Um, so one thing is people didn't even know we had a mayor. He was mayor for 14 years. People didn't even know we had a mayor. So just explaining that we do and what the role is and that he gets paid. So you don't even know him, but he's getting paid. But I am involved in my community a lot, former PTO president. I work with a lot of the nonprofits. I frequent the businesses. So a lot of what I've heard is that they never saw him. And so talking to them about wanting to be present, I've attended church services already. We have 5 churches in our borough. I've attended 3 of the services. So I can get to know the congregation and the leadership, and just being present has been a huge thing because they've never had that. And that was one of the things I campaigned on, was being present and attending services. The other one is, which I got a lot of compliments on this idea, is a kid committee. We have about 4,200 people in our borough, and we have an elementary school that's landlocked in the borough. And as the former PTO president, I know that there's not a lot of opportunities for these kids because it's so like dense here. And so I have brought up this idea of getting 8 and 12-year-olds involved in trash cleanups and then eventually shoveling and yard work. Basically getting them invested in their community, because that's going to reduce vandalism, littering, all of these things, and give them sense of pride, which can only help our community grow. And so when I talk to people about that tend to really like, first I met them where they were, which is a huge thing when you're running for office, is you can't expect people to come to the restaurant to sign your paperwork. You can't expect them to come and do the meet and greet. You need to do the footwork. I was out on trick or treat night handing out candy in front of a local business that let me stand there. So I was on Main Street. I was walking around the York or the Halloween parade. I was not in the parade, because then they're just looking at you. I walked to the sidewalk all the way up and down around the parade and handed out literature to the people. So showing up was a huge compliment that I got, and then talking about the things that I wanted to do. And but there have been some negative responses. Again, I won by 19 votes to a guy who'd been in office for 14 years. So I am sitting on a council with 7 people who do not like me, which has been a big hurdle. They're all Republicans. A lot of them were handpicked to sit there. So it's been interesting, but I've seen far more compliments from outspoken people. I had 40 people show up to my swearing in. We had to add more chairs to the office. So it's been good. Talking to people. I had a guy who is in like his 70s look at me when he came out from the election and said, "Don't do me wrong, you're the first non-Republican that I've ever voted for in my life," because I handed him a card that stated the things I wanted to do. I gave him a little bit of who I was. I know I'm kind of just blurbing everything. I apologize. But I think it came down to just being authentically myself, and people appreciating that honesty. So good and bad, authentically. So
That's awesome. Thank you.
absolutely.
David.
You detailed a lot of experience with other third parties. I think I counted Libertarian, Keystone, and I think they rebranded as Liberal recently. So I guess you could stretch and count that as a 4th one.
Nope, we're not going to stretch that, but that's okay.
I don't want to presume that Forward is your favorite third party, but I am curious how you would contrast Forward and its approach to doing things with the other third parties you've worked with.
So Forward, in the experience that I've had, which has been very not inside baseball. I mean, I've had a little bit of inside baseball when it comes to Forward, but Libertarian Party, I ran for state chair to try and salvage the party when I saw that it was going a direction that was not what the intention was for the original Libertarian Party, and that's why I subsequently left. Forward, in its early stages, in its birth, and what I hope that it maintains as it grows and continues, is coming up with an approach that is different than the rest of them. The Libertarian Party, while I do consider myself like a little L libertarian, if you understand what that means, has this mentality as an entire body that they're better than the other parties, that they know better and their ideas are better, and it is what it is. And there's no area of compromise as at high level. When you break it down to specific people who are running an office, those individuals might be open for compromise and working across the aisle, but at high level, that's not what the party presents. And they're eager and easy to be sold. For example, they invited Donald Trump to try for their nomination for president, which violates everything. So they will sway as the current goes. And my experience so far with Forward is that we stand still in what our core values are, and that we understand where people are at currently and accept them for who they are and their willingness to affiliate in their current stance. But by maintaining that relationship, it allows the door for that respect to be grown and built and trust that those people may then come over to Forward. And there's not this huge push like you have, like they have this thing called the Moulton Maneuver in the Libertarian Party. It might have a new name now, but it was they called people right after primaries to force them to like run for office. You have to run as a libertarian. And it was like run as libertarian and like nothing else. It wasn't encouraging people to run it for office. It was encouraging them to run for as a libertarian. And the way that Ford approaches it, in my experience, obviously running as a Fordist would be ideal, but when people aren't sold on that idea, it's, well, you can affiliate. It allows them to still feel like the door's opened for that relationship with the organization. And I think that that's what sets Forward Party aside from all of the others. It allows individuality while also having a group mindset. I don't know if that, like, that's what I think holds Forward above the rest. And that's why I'm still here and participating and doing all of that stuff. So I hope that answers.
It does, thank you. And I do know what you mean by little L libertarian. I actually started my own political journey with a, excuse me, with strong affiliation with the Libertarian Party, but I got disillusioned with the idea of a third party being driven by a very strict and rigid ideology, and that's what led me to Forward as well.
Yeah. It's very much a like this, and it doesn't allow for much. And then a lot of inside baseball. That is what got me out of there officially at the end. But I still have friends over there and I still work with them to do things because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people there that have the community in mind. It's just the overhead party. Just like there's Democrats and Republicans that have the community in mind, and I'll work with them too. But it's the overall party that kind of just puts that tarnish.
And I like to say that our movement is bigger than our party.
Absolutely.
So thank you for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Christine? If not, I will move to my slideshow.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
If I can find where it is. In the Blackboard. There we go. Yeah. So, thank you, Christine, for affiliating with us, and we're happy to have you as a board independent mayor. Moving on, we have a couple of national Ford events coming up. On the 25th, the Black History Month, the Black Fordists are having a meeting at 8 p.m. We have welcome team training. I believe that's with Carrie Ann, but I could be wrong. And then I know that we have several members of the uh, AAPI uh, uh, group here. They're having their first meeting of the AAPI National Committee on the 4th at 8:30 p.m. It might conflict with one of our meetings, but don't feel bad if you skip out at 8:30 for that one. Uh, I thought I had another. Oh. We do have a convention planning meeting coming up on the 4th at also on the 4th at 8 p.m. That's the meeting I was talking about. We hope to have you there. And moving on to the big topic of concern, there are special elections happening this coming up. Two are happening tomorrow. One is in PA House District 42 in Allegheny County. The other is PA House District, or PA House District 42 and PA House District 22. There is also two coming up on the 17th that are very important. They're both in the PA House, District 79 and 193. These are very important because the PA House is so evenly split. Yes, Brian.
Sorry, give your summary. I thought I'd just add some after.
Oh, yeah, and then yeah, these are important because the PA House is so evenly divided. As a political body, we can't really run candidates at the moment. But if you do not like do not like how these districts turn out in these special elections, you have time to, uh, in fact, the filing period hasn't even started for third parties, so you can challenge whoever wins in these races and possibly have a good turnout in November. So this is why we are making a big focus on the PA House because it is by far the best opportunity for the Pennsylvania Forward Party this year. Uh, Now one more slide for the special elections because our friend Ron Ruman is running for PA House District 196. And I'll let Christine.
I just wanted to say, I do believe as a political body, you can run a candidate. You just have a signature requirement. It's just minor
yeah.
party status and major party status that don't have the signature requirement.
Yeah, sorry, I misspoke.
No, you're fine.
The signature requirement is about 300 to 500 signatures, and you have to get it all done in a week. So it's practically impossible to run. But it's really hard to do, and unless you're all lined up at just the right moment and have the stars aligned just so, you're pretty much better off waiting until a regular general election to try to run as a political body candidate instead of a minor party. But thank you for the reminding me of that.
Sorry. It's just a habit to correct all of that stuff. So I apologize, but yeah. But you're right. That is a lot of signatures to collect in a small period of time.
Brian, I was going to let you chime in as well.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. I've been dug in on this while checking out these races. So if you could go back to the last page here.
Give me a second.
Yeah. So PA 42, that's actually my home district in Southwest Allegheny County. I appreciate the folks that got together for an event the other night. House District 22 is in Allentown, and that's a very interesting race if anyone was interested in digging in there. The gentleman that was going to be running as a Democrat at the last minute had to back out because he didn't meet the residency requirements. He hadn't lived in the state for 4 years. So at the last minute, he dropped out, and the day before the deadline, they found another woman to run as the Democrat. So in this race, they're running against a very interesting guy for the Republican in the Republican candidate. And even though that should be kind of a safe Democratic district, the Republican has a very good chance. So what could happen here over these 5 special elections is we all know that Democrats currently have a 1-seat. Well, if we had been talking 6 months ago before all these resignations, Democrats had a 1-seat majority in the state house. And these first two that are tomorrow represent two Democrats that resigned, and the other three represent three Republicans that resigned. So if Republicans were able to flip this one District 22, so right now Democrats have a 2-seat majority. If they were flip this, the Democrats would have I'm sorry, my math got mixed up. But if Republicans are able to flip this district, that means that Ron Ruman's race on the next page becomes very, very important because it's a Republican seat and Ron has a chance to flip it to the Democrat seat, to blue. So everybody should watch this House District 22 race tomorrow. And if it flips red, Ron needs a lot of attention and support because there's going to be a lot of focus on that race because it's going to control the entire hold of the state house.
Thank you for that summary as well, Brian.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I did not mention the State of the Union is also scheduled for tomorrow night. I did not make a slide for it because I Pennsylvania Party is not making a rebuttal, and perhaps we can discuss doing so future years, but um, when you're in between getting sick of that uh, take a look at the results from the PA elections. As always, there are committees you can volunteer to work on. Like I mentioned, the AAPI committee is having their first meeting in a week or two. Black voters, Hispanic, and women's, and the rest. So these are a great opportunity for volunteers to get involved with the board party. Another great opportunity is to become a county lead. You can shape the direction of the Ford Party and become a leader of the party. So we have a couple of people who have already volunteered, and we thank you for helping us build the movement. We always need fundraising. If you want to volunteer in this area, please contact us as well, because we can't grow the movement without resources, and especially with the convention we're planning, we hope to be able to put on a good event for us when we decide on the date. And the next meeting is scheduled for March 16th at 8 p.m. And sorry. Is there questions, comments, concerns at this time? Hearing none.
1 second, Ben. Brian Gilmartin?
Yes.
Are you free to share a few minutes about your experience last week?
There we go. Yes. Hi. Sorry, I got caught on a work call at the end of the day. Went a little longer than I was expecting it to. Yeah. So I was actually like deathly ill on the day of the train, and that was the only thing I did that day. I woke up and logged on and took some notes. So
So just to set up what you were doing, what
yeah,
we were talking, there have been candidates that have reached out, or potential candidates that reached out, and one recurring need that they seem to have is treasurers for their campaign, right? Unless you happen to know an accountant or something, you don't know where to start getting someone. So there's been a request that we do some research into what that entails and get some people trained up to like assist in this way. So
yeah.
Brian and Rachel were able to attend what was meant to be a seminar on this subject with the state. And why don't you let us all know what you learned on there?
Yeah. So is Rachel around? Because I would
No,
love
she's
to. Oh, all
snowed
right.
in. Got
I'm
messages.
I'm
The
desperate.
Southeast is snowed in.
I'm like I said it on our call, and I thought Rachel agreed with me, and I did email you. It sounds like, because Rachel is like, oh, so what do you have to do? And it doesn't sound like there's any actual like formal requirements to be the treasurer for a campaign. The training that we signed up for and took, and when we asked her questions about it, that was like, if we wanted as the forward party to be donating money to their campaign, there needs to be some kind of treasurer who's then filing paperwork at the correct times. So it's for PACs to get their money over to the candidate. And then, yes, the candidate has to sign stuff and, keep involved, but there's no real requirements, as far as I can tell, for the person who's doing it. It kind of sounds just like anybody who's willing to keep a book, write it down, and then I guess knowing this information would be useful, so that way you know that whatever PACs you're involved with are following the correct regulations. But
Yeah.
all of the
So
regulations that they told us in this training, at the very least, were like, you need a president and a treasurer. They have to be two different people for some kind of group, organization, whatever. And then they have to record anytime money is going back and forth between donors and campaigns.
okay, so it sounds like we still are on the hunt for a summarized training of how to be a campaign treasurer that we
Yeah.
can share to members and people interested in getting involved this way.
Right.
So I saw libertarians have a training like that. The information is out there, but we need to compile it and be able to share it in this way. So I appreciate you expressing interest in doing this, and the fight continues. We'll get it figured out, and
I was, and again, I'm just completely living in my own head here for a second, but I was sort of getting this like sensation that I'm like, oh, this is like people who are in Pennsylvania, home inspectors. Like, you can't become a home inspector until you follow around a home inspector for a couple of years. I don't know if any of you know that. And so, like, to break into home inspecting, you need to know a guy. And I was like, this seems like the kind of thing that I'm sure the Democratic Party and the Republican Party have their own training system to get their people for their candidates, but that because it's this particular aspect isn't terribly, as far as, again, she didn't mention any. When we asked, the person in our training didn't say, oh, well, yeah, there's all these regulations for the candidates. Like, none of that was mentioned. And I feel like they probably
Yeah.
should have.
Okay.
I think it might
Well,
be guarded info.
well, the two people with their hands up both probably know a lot on the subject. Maybe we'll start with Chris.
Fingers crossed.
Chris, how are things going?
I mean, things, yeah, we can talk about things later, but I was going to comment on this point. I think the state's training is bare bones. Like, I even set up calls with them and they're willing to talk to you. They literally, in the live call with them, they pulled up their YouTube video, which is, a decade or so old. And so the state training is terrible, but I will concur, like, that is one of the biggest needs, but it's a twofold need. So one, treasurers and not necessarily treasurers, but the training for treasurers and the training around campaign finance, which is what Christine had mentioned earlier. Lead PA does a really great nuts and bolts training, but for people coming into the Ford party from the right side of the aisle, they may be less inclined to be invited to attend that training, because it's a nonpartisan group, but they are progressive leaning, and so they have you pledge those things to join their nuts and bolts training. But it's four pieces, and their campaign finance piece was outstanding. It was fantastic. And then they have a petition one. So there's 4 segments to it. So it was fantastic in terms of that training. And so maybe even contacting them and see whether or not they'll have a conversation of, can we share materials and can we create a training like that? And then one of the things that I've brought up, and I talked with Jake about at National as well, and some other parties, is, and I don't know Christine's experience, but running outside of the 2 parties, there isn't really a great donation software platform. Like, ActBlue signals very clearly you are with this group. And so I want to be very intentional not to use ActBlue to reduce that signaling. I looked into, and so I sat on the fence for a month, way too long. And I ended up going with Antidote, but was pretty skeptical about that as well, because of some of the groups that they affiliate with that really aren't groups that I want to affiliate with. And so that gap is huge in terms of like a donation platform that is not sit in one camp or the other. And so that I would love to, later down the road, someone to figure that out for the Ford party, for independents, to find that donation platform that doesn't signal any which way.
Sorry, Chris, what did you say the name was of the one that you ended up?
Antidote. So it's Antidote, but it's like ANEDOT. And it's super simple. It's great. It's been great thus far. And back to like the conversation around campaign finance, those systems all have the built-in reporting that in theory makes it really easy to report on at least your campaign, what you're getting from a contribution standpoint. Not necessarily your expenditures, but at least from the contribution standpoint.
Cool. Thank you. Christine.
I've used Antidote for some of my campaigns before too. And, just kind of is some insight. The Libertarian Party struggled hardcore with treasurers. I mean, I had the same when I managed a governor and a state senator and a lieutenant governor. I had the same treasurer for all 3 campaigns, because there's just so few people who want to take on the responsibility of all of that financial stuff. And so it's really finding someone who has the experience and someone who's willing to take on the responsibility, and having them kind of like with the home inspection that you were talking about, kind of teach them the ways. That's what happened when I ran for state rep. I had someone on my campaign team that came from New York and came down and taught my girlfriend down here how to be the treasurer. It's a much needed. My congressional candidate still needs a treasurer. But there's so much that goes with it. Depending on what role you're going with, you need to understand FEC filing, and you need to understand the state filings and the dates and the system. It's a lot, and it varies from state to state. So you really need to, we would really need to find some people to learn the Pennsylvania system, so that we could use them as like the trainers to help kind of facilitate. I don't know if that's something National would be able to help with, at least to identify a couple people but it's a huge burden, and a lot of people just don't want to take it on. That's why a lot of people end up spreading themselves thin to do it. But to kind of your point, when we were talking about earlier, what's essential that falls into those filings that I was talking about is understanding the financial disclosures and everything like that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's why I appreciated Brian and Rachel stepping up to take that training. It seems like we'll continue. I saw we were looking at the rundown of the Pennsylvania Libertarian Convention, and they had like a couple hour seminar on how to be a treasurer for a campaign. And I'm like, oh, I would attend just for that to see what they're teaching. Maybe we could talk to them about sharing some information. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Ben. That's all.
Yes, and it is also open for and question period. So sorry, I got stuck in my own PowerPoint, what was not being shared. But does anybody else have any questions and things they want to bring up? Brian.
Yeah, so I'm normally in Teams, so I don't know where to. I couldn't see where to put a hand up. The I'm sorry. So where is the next place that we're hunting for taking a training? Lead PA? Is that how would we contact that? Like, I'll do it. Like, I'll figure it out. I don't particularly mind. Is that like our next best option?
That'd be great. I mean, right now we're just
Was that-
looking for anybody. So if you want to reach out to Lead PA, that would be wonderful.
All right, that's it. That was the name of it, right? I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that-
that's what
I mean-
Chris said.
That's the name, and Oliver actually, who is one of the 3 directors there, is the one that told me to reach out to y'all, Ben. So I don't know if he's willing to do reciprocal and kind of let Ford come in and learn from them, but I would imagine, since he pointed me in your direction, that he might be open to it. But I can also connect with them because in theory, during their training, they do share their Google folder with the trainees, with the people in the training. I wouldn't be comfortable just handing it to you without asking permission to link it to you guys, but that has all the documentation, PowerPoint slides, and all that stuff too. So in theory, I have access to all the training materials too. But so let me know how you want to do it, Brian. I can have the conversation with Oliver and with you and CCU, or you could just reach out on your own.
Yeah, I found their website. I'm doing it. I think I have to sign up for the email list first. We don't need to have a tech thing where everybody walks me through this. I'm good. I'll hold for now.
Yeah, and one of the things that needs to be stated, the candidate can be the chairperson of the committee to file all this stuff, but the treasurer most likely needs to be somebody else, or unless the candidate. I don't think the candidate can be the treasurer himself, but
We actually did ask that. So like like you said, if there's a chairperson, the chairperson and the treasurer have to be 2 separate people. That was confirmed. But when the lady from the state, she did make it sound like if the person, like if you decide to run all by yourself, you can be your own treasurer. You're not a committee. You're not anything. You're just your own person. There's nothing. It's just probably people don't want to do that. Like there's too much stuff going on, but they don't actually have to have anybody be their treasurer. I just imagine that they would probably be
they still need to make
beat up
report.
after. Yeah, right. You still have to have everything reported. It's just
Yeah,
the
because
rules we got were for the committees.
yeah. And I do know that if you are at the municipal level or sometimes even at the state house level, if you spend less than $250 in a period, you can waive the reporting requirement. But I would not recommend it for the for anything higher than PA House and probably at the PA House also. Robert.
Hey, how's it going? Just wondering if you guys saw this March 27th to 29th on the leadpa.org. I shared a screenshot, and it looks like they're covering a lot of the trainings that they do. Now, hopefully, it looks like it's this year. I don't see anywhere that confirms it, but if it's this year, we shouldn't have a problem then. I did see some treasurer training, but that was 2025. So it seems like this is this year, and the treasurer stuff is probably rolled into the 3-hour segments that they're doing for 3 days. So, I mean, that'd be pretty convenient if at least one of, maybe probably two of us would be better if we caught something like that, like their training, and then we can report back, or someone can just send a notes AI or something. So what do we think about that? Not sure if it was mentioned. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah, it was a bunch of snow, and I was like dealing with some stuff. I had a sick cat too. Go figure. Like, we didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do in a snowstorm? Like, you gonna take a cat into an ER or something? Like, it's like I don't know. maybe we'll. I think we're gonna wait till tomorrow, just in case. That's when the vet comes in. So, yeah. But enough about me and my pet.
No problems, Robert. And I will ask once again if there are any other issues, comments, concerns. It is open floor. Seeing none, I do think I need to at least show this slide because it has the little disclaimer. And we are compliant. So till next time, we hope you have a great month and hope you stay involved with the Pennsylvania Forward Party. And please, if you see this on social media, please comment, like, and subscribe. With that, have a great night.
Take care, everyone.
Have a good night.